Good afternoon all. Well, after my little video saying that I was going to pack up doing this YouTube channel because I didn't think I had anything interesting to say or do, I've been asked to go and service for a young girl called Ellie Taylor, who is the daughter of Daryl Taylor, who's my friend and sort of teammate, if you like. He has his car also looked after by Neil Buckley. And we've been rallying together for quite a while, and we're sort of on similar pace, so it always makes things interesting. But anyway, his daughter Ellie, she's 17. She's just passed her driving test. She's done a spell in juniors, and now she stepped up to a sort of a Rally 4 car, if you like. What were the old Rally 2 cars? So front wheel drive, normally aspirated, M Sport Fiesta. Very nice little car, and she's doing the Snetteron stages next weekend, which will be her first sort of senior rally, if you like. And Daryl was asked if I would help out. I said of course, no problem at all. So I'm going to be packing up the motorhome with all the servicing bits and pieces we need, and going up there and trying to get her through the rally. So that should be a bit of fun next weekend, so we'll see how we get on. So the method of servicing is going to be very, very simple, and it's going to be very much just servicing as a clubman. So for those people that haven't started rallying or are just generally interested in what happens when you're just servicing a car just as a group of friends, this might be quite a good insight into that. It's going to be pretty basic, you know. We're not pretending to be some kind of professional team or anything like that. We're just me as a friend, Daryl as Ellie's dad, and one or two others who are happy to help, just setting about getting a car and a crew through a club rally. So yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be quite an interesting one, and I'm actually really looking forward to it, because funnily enough, in all these years that I've been rallying, I've serviced myself, but I've never actually serviced for another crew, you know, just as a dedicated service member, if you like. So I'm just really looking forward to getting stuck in, because it's a part of rallying that I'm obviously familiar with, but it's not something I've done, you know, without the pressure of having to drive the car as well. So I'm really looking forward to it. It should be some good crack. And this coincides quite nicely with a video that I started on how to get into rallying. So we'll get into that now. Well, good morning everybody. Another nice dry day. But what is the topic of today? Well, I thought I would talk to you about getting into motorsport, and specifically starting in stage rallying. So in the course of making these videos, I've been contacted by quite a few people who are looking at getting into stage rallying. And it's interesting to note that the majority of these people are older people who have thought about doing rallying for a long time, thought that, you know, it's really too expensive for them to get started in, and have then made a bit of money, got comfortable, kids have grown up a bit, and they've decided to take the plunge. My own personal experience was it wasn't all that easy to get information to start with, but then the internet wasn't quite such a great resource that it is now. And yeah, I struggled really. And my local club, the Isle of Wight Car Club, didn't really have anyone that was doing rallying at that time, because we didn't have any rallies over here, and there just weren't the people around. As I think I mentioned on another video, I never intended to get into rallying. I just bought an Escort as a road car to get me away from the really quick stuff like the Evos and the Subarus I'd had. And Dad just said, you're going to make it a rally car, and then it kind of started from there. So that was the first error. If you want to go rallying, my advice, and obviously buy carefully, buy a car that's already done, MSA logbooked, been in active competition, not something that's been stood up in a bar and it's like, oh, it just needs a little bit of a fresh up. They never do. It all ends up coming to bits. Just get something that's been in active competition and get that and get out there. If on the other hand you really feel you want a project, that's fine, but just accept the fact you're not going to be going rallying for a while. Second piece of advice, do your bars test immediately. There's no point in not doing it. Once you've got your license, then you've got the impetus and the motivation to be like, right, let's get out and do some rallying. Budget £1,000 for getting all your safety equipment. So by that I mean overalls, hands device, that's head and neck restraint system, which you need to go rallying these days. You're going to need a helmet. Now think very carefully before you buy a helmet. One, what intercom are you going to be using? That's important. You should always make sure that the helmet that you have marries up with the intercom you intend to use. It would seem to me that the vast majority of people these days are using a Stilo. I've just moved over to a Stilo helmet. I had one in the past, and then I ended up for some reason or other with a Peltor intercom and a Bell helmet which had a Peltor intercom within, but nearly every single co-driver that came and sat with me had a Stilo. And whilst yes, you can use the adapters and everything like that, you just don't get the clarity of the comm system. They don't really intermix all that well. For years, Peltor were the flavour of the month back in the days when Colin McRae and everyone was using them in the WRC, and then gradually Stilo took over, and that's where it's at now. They're pretty much the dominant helmet and intercom manufacturer in vogue. And there's no doubt about it, the systems are very, very good. And since I've made the switch over, you know, there's no buzzing, there's no crackling. You know, it just works really nicely. But anyway, this video isn't about intercoms, it's about the overall picture of getting yourself into stage rallying. So the other important thing is you've got to join your local club. You've got to support your local motor club. They're all run by volunteers and they're all struggling to survive and balance the books and all the rest of it, and they need members. And you need to be a member of a club in any event to compete. It may be that if you go to your local, the rallies that are being organised locally, which won't necessarily be by your local club, you can use your club card because they will be part of a local regional association. So you've joined your local club, you've got all of your safety equipment, you've done your bars test and you've bought your car. What next? Well, you're going to need to enter a rally, but importantly, you're going to need someone to sit next to you. So you're going to need a co-driver. So here you have a couple of choices. You either start with another beginner, and sometimes, like myself, that happens, you know. I started with my mate, neither of us had ever done any rallying, but we started together and we learnt together and we did loads of events and had a lot of fun doing it. Or you find yourself a experienced local co-driver to sit in with you and basically show you the ropes, which, if I'm honest, is the better way to do it, I think, because you're not going to have to worry about, you know, the process of like time controls. They'll just do it for you, and all you've got to do is sit there and do what you're told, basically. Now, a word on co-driving. There is a shortage of co-drivers around, but they are around, and there are plenty of experienced co-drivers that will sit in with beginners, as long as you're sensible, but don't expect them to start paying the entry fee or anything like that. Gradually as time goes by, you know, depending on how you're getting on, you will find that there are plenty of co-drivers out there that are happy to stand the entry fee. And certainly if you've got a beginner alongside you, I would strongly encourage you to ask them to do that, because rallying is very expensive and it's something that they clearly want to do and get involved with, and they're certainly not there under duress. So, you know, you should be seeing the entry fee or half the entry fee, really, if you're on an equal footing with whoever it is you're sat next to. And I've got a few thoughts on co-drivers and contributions. I use quite a few different co-drivers. I don't really have anyone regular anymore. And I've got a pretty good idea of their personal circumstances. And the ones that I use are experienced. And there's a couple of very experienced ones that I use. And, you know, they will always pay the entry. Or at the very least half the entry. So you're sorted. You've got everything: the car, the safety gear, the membership, the license, and a co-driver, and you've put your entry in on an event. So what event have you chosen? Well, clearly it's not going to be the Roger Albert Clark. You're going to want to do a little local single venue. It's not too far from home, minimal stress to get to, and nothing that's too demanding. So you've put your entry in, and it's probably going to be somewhere in the region of 4 to 6 weeks before the event at least. So do yourself a favour, get everything organised. Now, it may very well be that you can't get all your wheels and tyres rimmed up because you don't know what you're going to be using, but I'd hazard a guess that you're going to have a pretty good idea. So at least get your wet sorted out, and you're going to probably want some softs pretty much no matter where you go. So get yourself sorted and basically make sure if there's any little jobs that need doing, and they're always like, oh yeah, the 5-minute jobs, but they're never 5 minutes, they take an evening. So get yourself sorted out, because ideally the weekend before that event, the only thing you need to be doing in order to go to the rally is put the car on the trailer and load the van, unless you can load the van and just leave it stood up for the week, which is even better. And if you haven't got a van, just remember you don't actually need to take all that much with you. Really, beyond fuel and tyres and a few basic spares like rip ties and gaffer tape, you know, and basic tools, you're not going to need that much stuff. don't go taking the kitchen sink with you. You know, there's just no point. So that's it, you're at the rally. Now you've got to get yourself through scrutineering, noise test, sign on, and get yourself to the start of the rally. So it's quite easy to become bewildered, and you look and you see car 1 go by, 3, 4, 5, whatever. Just don't take much notice of them. They're doing their own rally, and you know, it's easy to be slightly intimidated by what they're getting up to. And I mean, by all means, you know, if you can get to chat to anybody, all the rest of it, but most people on the morning of a rally are just basically head down, getting themselves sorted, and you know, preparing to deal with their own stuff. So that's probably not the best time to start approaching other crews, particularly, other than the ones, you know, you're servicing next to and the ones sort of in and around where you're going to be seated, which if you're just starting your first rally, it's going to be somewhere at the back. And lower your expectations. All you are there to do is finish your first rally. It doesn't matter if you're first or you're last, and the chances are you're going to be somewhere near the back. But you know, that's fine. You just need to be finishing rallies. That's how you're going to get experience, and that's how you're going to have a good time. Now, with regards to your note system, when you first get going on a single venue, quite honestly, you don't need to have much of a note system going on. So I wouldn't really worry about that too much. If you just want a reasonable description of the stage layout, which will be in the form of a diagram printed on a sheet which will be handed to you. By and large, pace notes per se are not permitted on single venue events, and there's no reconnaissance, so there isn't any chance for that. But it doesn't really matter, because generally speaking at most single venues, you've got 4 stages repeated, and there are only minor variations. And then you'll have another 4 stages turned around the other way in reverse. So it's basically, you're pretty much doing the same thing all day, so you get to grips with it quite quickly. And just a word on single venues. Probably the most important thing you as a crew can do is to memorise your splits, because undoubtedly you will be coming across splits whereby you're using sections of the stage twice, and then to go off to the flying finish, or for the variation that's required within the stage to allow you to either you know, finish it or join it or whatever it is. You're going to find, if you don't get the splits right, you're going to arrive at the split and it's going to be like, which way? You're going to panic, and it's 50-50. So I always, as a driver, when it comes to single venues, I memorise the splits. So if it's like left, left, right, or right, right, left, or whatever happens to be, I commit that to memory before we start. So when I arrive at that split, I know which way we're going. And all the co-driver's doing is just confirming it. But it's the classic mistake, because if you get the split wrong and you finish the stage too soon, or you do an extra lap, you will take a stage maximum, which is going to add probably at least 3 minutes to your overall time. So that is basically your rally done. So don't make that mistake. It's one of the most annoying things you can do, and I guarantee to you there's nobody out there, well, I stand to be corrected, but I don't believe there's any driver out there that's in rallying that's experienced who hasn't done it at least once. And the same goes for the co-drivers. So splits, remember them. Once you've got a bit of experience, and it doesn't really matter when, I mean, you could go and do it straight away, but I would say you want to get a couple of single venues under your belt first. You can start going out and doing some of the closed road events, and they are great fun. What you'll find with a single venue is that you could do a stage, then you come back and you sit down for like at least 40 minutes, and then you do another stage. And it's the same. And you've got a service after every stage and loads of downtime, because everyone's got to complete that stage before they can start the next. When you get onto closed roads, it'll be like, you'll be a lot busier, because you'll go out and do, say, stage 1. You'll have a road section to get to stage 1, so obviously co-driver's got a lot more to do. You'll do stage 1, then you'll be on another road section, stage 2, probably stage 3, and possibly even a stage 4. So there's no real time to sort of, you know, think about, you know, stopping and chilling out. It's go, go, go. But when you do start going out to closed roads, you're going to need a proper note system. And it's entirely up to you what you choose. I mean, there's various methods. You can have descriptive, but not many people use that anymore. Most people use a numbered system of some sort, so that's either with as 1 fastest, or the higher number being fastest, so that might be 6 or 9. So people generally use somewhere between 1 and 6 or 1 and 9 to describe the severity of the corner, and it rather depends which way around they prefer it. But no, most people will have, say, 1 fastest down to, say, 9, which is effectively a 90-degree angle, and therefore the increments represent degrees of 10. So 1 is a 10-degree corner, 2 is a 20-degree corner, all the way around until you get to, like I say, a 90-degree corner. The other way of doing it is that some people use 6 fastest. So 6 will be the quickest corner, and then all the way down to 1, which is the tightest before square and a hairpin, I guess. I personally use 1 fastest between 1 and 6. So 1 is my fastest corner, and then 6 is just before a square. So with whatever system you decide to settle on, I think it's a question of making sure you watch some onboards, because there's so many onboards out there with all the different variations of pace note system. It'd be good to watch them and just see which one kind of you feel most comfortable with, and then that's the best way of doing it before you settle on a particular method. And in this country at least, and Ireland, you can buy pace notes. So once you've settled on your particular method, you can buy the notes for a particular rally, and they will be given to you. And then all you've got to do is go and do the reconnaissance and check them. When you start going abroad and on the continent, you will be required to make your own pace notes. That's if you ever get there. But that's not such an easy thing to do. I have made my own notes plenty of times because I've been to Belgium, and sometimes just purely out of preference, depending on who I'm sitting with. But most people will just buy the notes in this country and then just check them. And you can just sort of make your own variations, but at least it gives you a really good baseline to start with. So for this video, there's very little more I can think to add, other than to say, if you're thinking about getting into rallying, I mean, do it, and keep it simple. So don't overcomplicate things, and don't dwell on it, just get out there and do it. Go back through the video, like I say, make a little checklist of all the things you should be doing, and then just get on with it. There's no time like the present. And if you're a young person looking to get into this, just do it. There's not enough young people in the sport, and there's loads of people that will help you out, because people want to see youngsters in the sport. And it will get you away from social media, as ironic as that is saying it, given the fact that this is a form of social media. Put the phone down, get out in the garage, get the spanners out, get your car prepared. It really is very, very fulfilling to tinker with your car, and it might just be little bits and pieces to get the car up to sort of a level ready to go rallying, but it's time well spent, and you'll get to know the car, and very, very enriching. So I hope you found that interesting. And next week I will go and do the rally, and I'll report back. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.